In the remote village of Thuy, nestled between dense forests and winding rivers, two great families had ruled the land for centuries: the Cao family and the Lanh family. For generations, their rivalry had been the heartbeat of the village, an unspoken war festering beneath forced greetings and cold shoulders. The causes were long buried in time, yet the bitterness remained sharp as ever. At the center of this story stood an unlikely man, Elder Cao Min, the wise and gentle patriarch of the Cao family. Unlike his ancestors, who had wielded power with iron fists and thirst for dominance, Min was a man of peace. He was beloved by many, not only for his kindness but also for his fairness. Even members of the rival Lanh family found themselves respecting him, grudgingly admiring his calm resolve. However, the peace that Elder Min sought was fragile, hanging by a thread spun from years of enmity and mistrust. The Lanh family, led by the proud and cunning Lanh Duke, had always sought to undermine the Cao family's standing. Though some in the Lanh clan desired reconciliation, others nursed a quiet fire of revenge, plotting silently in shadows. One humid evening, as the orange sun dipped behind the mountains, the village gathered for a rare meeting called by Elder Min. The old wooden hall buzzed with murmurs and wary glances exchanged between members of both clans. This meeting was unlike any before. It was an attempt at ending the feud that had poisoned their community for far too long. Min's voice broke the tense silence. "My dear relatives, friends, and neighbors," he began, his tone gentle yet firm, "we carry the weight of generations of conflict. But I ask you now, what legacy do we want to leave for those who come after us? Hatred? Bloodshed? Or peace?" His words hung in the air like a fragile thread of hope. Some elders nodded slowly, others remained skeptical. Among the crowd, a young man named Tuan, grandson of Elder Min, observed quietly. Tuan had grown up aware of the family tensions but dreamed of a future where his children would not fear walking past the Lanh family's fields. Opposite them, Lanh Duke clenched his fists, his jaw tight with anger and doubt. Could the Cao family truly be trusted? Was this peace genuine or a ploy to weaken them? As the meeting progressed, voices rose and fell, memories of past betrayals clashed with desires for harmony. Finally, a vote was taken. To the surprise of many, the majority agreed to end the feud and pledge unity. Yet, the victory was incomplete. Some hardened hearts refused to bend. After the meeting, Elder Min and Lanh Duke met privately under the ancient banyan tree that had witnessed their ancestors' conflicts. Min extended his hand. "For the future," he said solemnly. Duke hesitated, then grasped it. The first true handshake between the two families in decades. But peace in Thuy was only a beginning, not an end. In the shadows, darker forces stirred. Rumors whispered of curses tied to the sacred burial grounds of the Cao family. It was said that disturbing these graves would unleash a deadly fate upon the descendants of Chumtang, a devastating chain of deaths that no living soul could stop. Unbeknownst to the villagers, the stage was being set for a storm that would test their fragile alliance. Tuan, eager to protect his family and village, would soon discover that peace came at a terrifying price and that the past never truly dies. The dawn broke over Thuy with a deceptive calm. The village, still basking in the fragile glow of newfound peace, awoke to birdsong and the distant hum of river currents. Yet beneath the surface of this serenity, a cold unease gnawed at the hearts of many. Tuan awoke early, his mind restless from the meeting the night before. Though the clans had pledged unity, he sensed shadows lurking behind the smiles. More troubling were the ancient tales his grandfather had spoken of the Chungtang curse bound to their ancestral burial grounds. Determined to understand, Tuan sought out an old woman known as Ba Lin, the village's keeper of secrets and folklore. She lived alone at the edge of the forest, shrouded in whispers of sorcery and wisdom. Ba Lin, Tuan called softly as he approached her humble hut, "I need to know the truth about the Cao family tombs. And the curse." The old woman's eyes gleamed in the morning light, reflecting a knowledge that time itself had woven into her soul. "The Chungtang," she murmured, "is not merely a tale for children. It is a curse born from betrayal and dark magic, sealed deep beneath the soil. If the graves are disturbed, the spirits awaken to seek justice." Tuan's heart pounded. But who would dare desecrate the tombs? "We just made peace." Ba Lin's gaze hardened. "There are those who thrive in discord. Not all wish for harmony. The soil here holds secrets that many want to keep buried." Suddenly, the earth trembled faintly beneath their feet, a subtle shudder like a warning from below. Tuan stiffened, looking around nervously. As he left Ba Lin's hut, a chilling wind swept through the village, carrying with it whispers that no one else seemed to hear. Meanwhile, tension simmered quietly within the Lanh family. Lanh Duke, despite his public show of agreement, was wrestling with his own demons. His trusted advisor, a shadowy figure named Huang, had uncovered disturbing signs at the Cao burial grounds. "Duke," Huang said in a hushed tone, "there are rituals taking place under cover of darkness. Someone is awakening the curse, whether to protect or destroy, I cannot say." Lanh Duke clenched his jaw. "We cannot let the Cao family think this peace means weakness. If the curse is real, we must understand it before it consumes us all." Back in the Cao household, Tuan confided in his grandfather, Elder Min. "Grandfather, Ba Lin warned me that dark forces are stirring. The peace we hoped for may only be the calm before the storm." Min nodded solemnly. "The past does not forget easily. Our ancestors' sins weigh heavy. We must prepare." That night, as the village lay under a blanket of stars, strange sounds echoed near the sacred burial grounds: low moans, the rustle of leaves without wind, shadows flickering in the moonlight. Tuan, unable to sleep, ventured out with the lantern. Approaching the tombs, he felt the air grow cold, and the earth beneath him seemed to pulse with a heartbeat not his own. Suddenly, a faint glow emerged from the oldest grave, and a whisper spoke his name. Tuan. Frozen with fear and curiosity, he reached out toward the light. The whisper grew louder, filling his mind with visions of betrayal, ancient pacts, and a warning. "The Chungtang will rise again. unless the broken bloodline is mended. Heart racing, Tuan realized that the peace was fragile, and the village's fate now rested in his hands. The morning air in Lan Thuy hung heavy with an unspoken dread. News of Tuan's late-night visit to the burial grounds spread like wildfire, whispered in hushed tones among the villagers. Some scoffed, calling it superstition, others looked at the ancient tombs with newfound fear. Tuan knew he couldn't face this alone. That afternoon, he sought out Lan, his childhood friend and the village healer, skilled not only in herbs but also in ancient rites. Ian's eyes widened as he listened to Tuan's account. If the spirits are restless, then the curse is awakening. This is no mere legend. Together, they decided to investigate the oldest tomb believed to be the resting place of the first CAO ancestor whose betrayal had seeded the feud centuries ago. As they neared the tomb, Lan pulled from his satchel a small pouch of protective charms and whispered prayers to ward off malevolent spirits. The air thickened, shadows seemed to twist unnaturally around them. Suddenly, the ground beneath Lan trembled, and a spectral figure materialized, a woman draped in tattered silk, her eyes hollow, voice mournful. "Who dares disturb my rest?" she whispered, voice echoing like the wind through the trees. Tuan swallowed his fear. "We seek to understand and end the curse that plagues our families." The ghost's gaze pierced through him. "The bloodline is stained. Only by revealing the truth of the past and mending what was broken can peace return." As she faded, a chill breeze swept the forest, carrying with it a single, cryptic phrase, "The blood debt must be paid." Meanwhile, in the Lang household, Lang Duke confronted Huang. "You say rituals have been performed. By whom? And to what end?" Huang bowed his head. "There is talk of a secret sect within the village, descendants of those who once cursed the CAO bloodline. They seek to reignite the feud for their own gain." Duck's eyes narrowed. "We must find them and stop this before it consumes us all." Back in the village, tensions escalated when the youngest son of the Lang family fell mysteriously ill, symptoms baffling the village healer and doctors alike. Rumors spread that the curse was striking first. Desperate, Lang Duke sent a messenger to Elder Min, proposing an urgent meeting. The two patriarchs met at the old banyan tree, the air tense. "We must unite against this darkness," Min said. "The feud blinds us to the real threat." Duke nodded slowly, grudging respect in his eyes. "Agreed. But trust is fragile, and time is short." That night, as a storm raged over Lan Thuy, Tuan awoke to a haunting melody, a lullaby his grandmother once sang, drifting through the wind. Drawn outside, he found the village cemetery bathed in an eerie glow. Figures cloaked in shadow moved silently among the graves, chanting in an ancient tongue. Tuan's heart pounded. These were the cultists Huang warned about, the ones seeking to unleash the full power of the Juntang. Gathering his courage, Tuan crept closer, listening. The cult leader's voice was cold and commanding. "Tonight, the blood debt will be claimed, and the curse reborn. The families will pay in blood, and the village shall fall into shadow once more. Tuan's blood ran cold. The war was not over, it had only just begun. The storm that had lashed Thuy the night before seemed to have cleansed the village air, yet a palpable tension lingered like a thick fog refusing to lift. In the quiet dawn, the villagers awoke to an uneasy calm, but the peace was only skin deep. Whispers spread of dark rituals, mysterious illnesses, and restless spirits. Tuan felt the weight of destiny settle more heavily on his shoulders with each passing day. The cryptic warnings of Lanh, the apparition at the tomb, and now the glimpse of the shadow cult had all but shattered his illusions of safety. Determined to protect his family and village, Tuan convened with Lanh, the healer, and elder men in the old meeting hall beneath flickering oil lamps. "We face not just a curse, but a planned resurgence of an ancient vendetta," Tuan said, his voice steady but grave. "If we don't act, the entire village will be swallowed by darkness." Elder Min nodded, stroking his graying beard thoughtfully. "The blood debt mentioned by the spirit. It means our ancestors' sins are still unpaid. We must uncover the truth buried in our family histories if we hope to break this cycle." Lanh added, "My grandmother once spoke of a hidden scroll, a record of the pact made centuries ago between the Cao and Lang families. It contains a ritual, a way to either seal or unleash the curse. But its location has been lost for generations." As the meeting ended, a chill wind swept through the hall, and all three men felt an unsettling presence. Outside, the village stirred uneasily. Meanwhile, Lang Duke returned home to find his son, Lang Min, worsening rapidly. The boy's fever burned like wildfire, his breaths shallow and uneven. The village healer was baffled, and even Ian's medicines had little effect. Duke clenched his fists, furious yet helpless. "This curse. It is real, and it is coming for us." Word of the boy's illness spread quickly, fanning the flames of fear and superstition. Some villagers began abandoning their daily routines, locking doors, and avoiding the burial grounds altogether. That evening, as darkness swallowed the village, Tuan decided to act. Gathering a small group of trusted friends, including Lanh, and a young warrior named Hai, he prepared to venture into the depths of the Cao ancestral tombs in search of the lost scroll. The journey was fraught with peril. The forest surrounding the tombs seemed alive with unseen eyes watching their every move. Strange noises echoed, whispers, soft footsteps, the crackling of dry leaves underfoot that stopped when they paused. As they approached the oldest tomb, a sudden gust extinguished their lanterns, plunging them into suffocating darkness. In the pitch black, spectral figures materialized, restless spirits bound to protect the tomb from intruders. Hai drew his blade, eyes wide but steady. "Stay close. Do not harm them unless they attack." Lanh began chanting ancient prayers, his voice barely a whisper but filled with determination. The spirits swirled around, their ethereal forms flickering like candle flames. Suddenly, a bright light burst forth from Tuan's pendant, a family heirloom passed down from Elder Min. The spirits recoiled, retreating slowly into the shadows. Guided by the glow, the group found a hidden chamber beneath the tomb, where, lying on an altar covered in dust, was the ancient scroll. Tuan carefully unrolled it, revealing faded ink and cryptic symbols. The ritual was complicated, a delicate balance of sacrifices, prayers, and offerings designed to seal the curse forever. But a warning was clear: if the ritual were performed incorrectly, the curse would be unleashed in full fury, devastating both families and the village alike. As they studied the scroll, a chilling howl pierced the night, a reminder that time was running out. Back in the village, Lang Min's condition took a sudden turn for the worse. His breaths grew shallower, and his skin paled as if life were slipping away. Desperate, Lang Duke sent a messenger to Tuan, begging for help. Tuan and his group rushed back, determination etched on their faces. Young Min is the first to suffer the curse's wrath, Tuan told Elder Min gravely. If we fail to stop this, more lives will be lost. Meanwhile, unknown to all, Huang and the Shadow Cult watched from afar, their plans moving swiftly. Their goal was clear: to ignite the Chumtang curse and watch the village burn in chaos. In the shadows, Huang whispered to his followers, "The blood debt will be paid. Tonight, the past will claim its due." The night air in Thuy was heavy with the scent of rain and something far darker, a creeping sense of doom. Word of Lang Min's sudden illness spread like wildfire, fueling rumors that the Chumtang curse was no mere superstition but a deadly reality. Inside the Cao family's ancestral home, Elder Min sat beside Tuan's side, both men weighed down by the heavy responsibility they bore. The ancient scroll lay open on the wooden table before them, its cryptic instructions challenging their every belief. "We must act swiftly," Min said gravely. "The ritual demands precision and sacrifice. One wrong move, and the curse will grow stronger." Tuan nodded, determination blazing in his eyes. "Whatever it takes, grandfather." Meanwhile, the village healer Lan worked feverishly to ease Lang Min's worsening condition. Yet despite his knowledge, the boy's strength waned, leaving even the most skeptical villagers in terror. At the edge of the village, hidden beneath gnarled roots and moss, the Shadow Cult prepared their next move. Led by Huang, they whispered incantations over a dark altar, their intentions malevolent and clear. "The curse will rise at dawn," Huang hissed. "The blood debt will be paid in full." That night, Tuan gathered a circle of trusted villagers for the ritual. Among them was Mai, a young woman gifted with visions, whose dreams had been haunted by the restless spirits of the tomb. As the ceremony began under the pale moonlight, Mai's eyes glazed over, and she began to speak in a voice not her own, a chilling prophecy of death and betrayal. "Beware the one who wears the mask of friendship, yet feeds the flame of hatred. The bloodline salvation lies not in power, but in truth." The crowd trembled as shadows danced around the flickering flames of their circle. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the night. Lang Min convulsed violently in his bed, his body racked with unseen torment. Outside, the air thickened as the spirits of the Chumtang began their dreadful work. Tuan's heart pounded as he raced to the boy's side, gripping the ancient scroll. "Stay with us, Lang Min. We will end this." But the curse was merciless. The next morning, Langmin was found lifeless, his face pale, eyes staring blankly into a world beyond. The village mourned, the fragile peace shattered irrevocably. In the midst of the grief, tensions between the Cao and Lang families reignited, suspicion and blame fueling old wounds. Elder Min, stricken with sorrow, turned to Tuan. The curse is more powerful than we imagined. We must delve deeper into our ancestors' sins if we hope to break it. Tuan agreed, but his mind was already racing the prophecy, the cult, the hidden truths buried beneath generations of hatred. As the sun set, a shadow moved silently through the village, a figure cloaked in darkness, watching, waiting. The game of vengeance had only just begun. The morning sun rose over land Thuy, casting long shadows over the village now shrouded in grief and suspicion. Langmin's death weighed heavily on the hearts of the villagers, fracturing the fragile alliance between the Cao and Lang families. Whispers of blame began to echo through the narrow streets, threatening to reignite the ancient feud. Tuan sat beside his grandfather, Elder Min, in the dimly lit room filled with old relics and fading photographs. The ancient scroll lay before them, its cryptic symbols a daunting puzzle. Elder Min's voice trembled as he spoke, "Our ancestors made choices that cursed us all. To break the Chungtang, we must uncover the full truth no matter how dark." Determined, Tuan set out to investigate the village's forgotten history. His first stop was the crumbling archive room beneath the village temple, where faded manuscripts and family records whispered secrets long buried. As he sifted through brittle pages, a hidden letter caught his eye, a confession written in hurried script, revealing a forbidden pact between the founders of the Cao and Lang families. The letter spoke of betrayal, jealousy, and a ritual that bound their fates together, ensuring that if one family suffered, so would the other. This ancient curse was not a punishment but a binding contract forged in blood and desperation. Meanwhile, tension simmered within the Lang family. Lang Duke, struggling with grief and guilt, confronted his most trusted advisor, Huang. "Why did you not warn me sooner? What do these cultists truly want?" Huang's eyes gleamed coldly. "Power, Duke. They believe the curse will elevate them, but their recklessness endangers us all." As the village teetered on the brink of chaos, Mai, the seer, experienced visions darker than before. She saw shadows creeping through the streets, faces twisted in rage, and a betrayal that would come not from the rival family but from within their own ranks. One night, under the veil of darkness, Tuan was approached by a mysterious stranger cloaked in grey. The stranger's voice was low, "If you seek to end the curse, you must face the truth about your own bloodline. There are those who will stop at nothing to keep it hidden." The path ahead was fraught with danger, deception, and the possibility of heartbreak. But for Tuan and the village of Lan Thuy, uncovering the past was the only hope for salvation. The village of Lan Thuy lay cloaked in silver moonlight, but beneath the serene glow, shadows moved with intent. Tuan's heart pounded as he walked toward the abandoned shrine hidden deep in the forest, a place whispered about in fearful tones by the elders. It was said to hold the key to the curse, but also the darkest secrets of both the Cao and Lang families. Beside him, Mai's eyes shimmered with unease. "The spirits are restless here," she murmured. "They guard truths not meant for the living." As they entered the shrine's crumbling walls, the air grew cold and heavy with the scent of incense long extinguished. Flickering shadows danced along faded murals depicting battles, pacts, and sacrifices, a visual history of the ancient feud. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A hidden door slid open, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling into the depths below. With lanterns raised high, they descended into the darkness, each step echoing like a heartbeat. At the bottom, they found a chamber filled with relics, jars of strange herbs, weathered bones, and a chest bound in iron. Tuan's hands shook as he opened the chest, revealing a bundle of letters, a blood-stained dagger, and a small carved statue of a weeping woman, the symbol of a forgotten deity worshipped by both families. Mai began reading the letters aloud. They told of a forbidden love between the ancestors of Cao and Lanh, a betrayal that shattered their union and sparked the curse. The blood-stained dagger was the weapon that sealed the pact, a sacrifice to the deity to bind their fates forever. As Mai spoke, a chilling wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing their lanterns. In the darkness, whispers surrounded them, voices filled with sorrow, anger, and warning. Suddenly, the statue's eyes glowed red, and a spectral figure emerged, the weeping woman from the carvings, her mournful gaze fixed on Tuan and Mai. "You seek to unravel what was bound in blood," she intoned. "Beware, for the price of truth is steep." Outside, the village stirred. Lang Duke confronted his son's death with a hardened resolve, but an unexpected betrayal awaited him. Huang, consumed by ambition and fear, conspired with the cult to accelerate the curse's return, willing to sacrifice anything to gain power. As the veil between past and present thinned, Tuan and Mai realized their quest was not just to end a curse but to mend broken bonds between families, spirits, and generations. But with darkness closing in and enemies both seen and unseen, their journey would test every ounce of courage, faith, and love. As dawn broke over Lan Thuy, the village was far from peaceful. The death of Lang Min had shattered the tentative truce, and rumors of curses and dark cults spread like wildfire, igniting old grudges anew. The air buzzed with suspicion and fear, and every glance held an unspoken accusation. Tuan and Mai, burdened by the revelations in the ancient shrine, knew that the truth they sought came at a high price. They had uncovered the origins of the curse, a tragic tale of forbidden love, betrayal, and a pact sealed in blood and darkness. Yet, this was only the beginning. Back in the village, Lang Duke struggled to maintain control. His trusted advisor, Huang, was no longer the ally he once seemed. Whispers reached Duck's ears of secret meetings and dark rituals carried out under the cloak of night, orchestrated by Huang and his shadowy followers. The cult sought to exploit the curse, turning it into a weapon for power and revenge. One evening, as the moon hid behind heavy clouds, Tuan received an urgent message from an anonymous source: "Meet me at the old mill by midnight. The fate of the village depends on it." Despite the dangers, Tuan and Mai ventured out, hearts pounding with both hope and dread. The old mill was a ruin, long abandoned, its creaking beams whispering forgotten secrets. There, cloaked in shadows, stood a figure, an elder woman with piercing eyes and a voice like silk. She introduced herself as Lanh, a guardian of ancient knowledge and a keeper of secrets passed down through generations. "You have uncovered what many wished to remain hidden," Lanh said gravely. "But beware, the curse feeds on fear and division. Only by uniting the fractured families can you hope to break it." Lanh revealed that the key to breaking the Juntang was a ritual requiring the combined blessings of both the Cao and Lang bloodlines, a ceremony lost to time but preserved in fragments among the village's elders. Meanwhile, Huang's machinations intensified. He orchestrated a series of events to sow distrust between the families, disguised attacks, sabotaged harvests, and whispered lies. His goal was to plunge Thuy into chaos, making it ripe for his rise. Tuan and Mai, armed with Lanh's guidance, began reaching out to the wary elders of both families. Convincing them to set aside centuries of hatred was no easy task. Many resisted, their hearts hardened by pain and loss. Yet, amid the tension, small acts of kindness and courage began to bloom. A shared meal, a helping hand in the fields, moments where old enemies remembered their common humanity. But time was running out. The curse's grip tightened with every passing day, and the shadow cult's influence grew stronger. In a chilling climax to the chapter, a fire broke out at the village granary, an act of sabotage that threatened to starve the community. Fingers pointed, tempers flared, and the fragile alliance teetered on the brink of collapse. Tuan stood amidst the chaos, determination blazing in his eyes. "This is the moment we must stand together or be torn apart forever." The dawn's first light did little to warm the hearts of Thuy's villagers. The fire at the granary had left scars not only on the charred wood and spoiled grain but also deep within the fractured trust between the Cao and Lang families. Fingers still pointed accusingly, and old wounds reopened with fiery bitterness. Tuan stood at the village square, addressing a restless crowd. His voice was firm but weary. "We cannot allow darkness to consume what little peace we have built. Whoever is behind this wants us divided. We must not give them the satisfaction." Mai, standing beside him, nodded gravely. Her visions had become more frequent, showing glimpses of betrayal from unexpected quarters. The shadows hide many faces. Some we call friend. Among those watching was Huang, disguised in the crowd, his eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. His plan was unfolding perfectly. Meanwhile, Lang Duke wrestled with mounting paranoia. The loss of his son, the spreading chaos, and the looming curse had left him vulnerable. His once loyal advisors' whispers in the dark only fueled his fears. In a secret meeting with cult members, Huang revealed the next phase of his plan, a ritual at the ancient tombs that would amplify the curse's power. "We strike at the heart of their legacy," he declared. "The bloodline must be broken." Back in the Cao household, Tuan uncovered a troubling truth. A trusted family member had been secretly communicating with Huang, feeding him information and undermining their efforts. The betrayal cut deeper than any curse. Determined to root out the traitor, Tuan enlisted the help of Mai and Hai, the warrior. Together, they devised a plan to expose the hidden enemy. Under the cover of night, they laid a trap at the ancestral tombs, using themselves as bait. The tension was palpable, every shadow seeming alive with menace. As the cultists emerged, chanting in the moonlight, Tuan and his allies sprang their ambush. A fierce battle erupted, steel clashed, spells flared, and the air was thick with smoke and fury. Amidst the chaos, the traitor's identity was revealed: someone close, driven by fear and greed, blinded by ambition. The confrontation was bitter and heartbreaking, but justice prevailed. Though the cult was pushed back, the victory was bittersweet. The curse still loomed, its power growing, and the village remained divided. Tuan realized that the true battle was not just against dark forces but also against the fractures within his own people. As dawn broke over the war-torn village, he vowed to unite the families, not just to break the curse, but to heal the wounds that had festered for generations. The village of Thuy stood on the precipice of calamity. The night air was thick with tension, as whispers of betrayal and dark magic danced like restless ghosts through the narrow alleys and over worn rooftops. Though the cult's attack had been repelled, the unseen threat still hung heavy over the hearts of the villagers. Tuan, now bearing the heavy mantle of leadership, called for a gathering at the ancient banyan tree, the symbolic heart of the village. Representatives from both the Cao and Lanh families assembled, their faces etched with exhaustion, fear, and a fragile hope. Elder Min's voice resonated through the quiet crowd. We have fought shadows and enemies hidden in plain sight, but our greatest battle remains within us. Only together can we break the chains of the past. Mai stepped forward, her eyes bright with determination. There is an ancient rite, forgotten by time, which may sever the curse. But it requires a sacrifice not of blood, but of pride and hatred. As preparations began, tensions flared. Old grudges resurfaced, accusations flew like arrows. The fragile alliance trembled under the weight of suspicion. In the shadowed edges of the village, Huang plotted. His ambition had grown darker, fueled by whispers from forbidden texts and promises of power beyond mortal comprehension. The cult's influence was spreading, recruiting those lost to despair and bitterness. One evening, Tuan received a cryptic message, a fragment of the lost ritual, hidden in a long-abandoned shrine beyond the forest. With Mai and Hai, he ventured into the wilderness, braving treacherous paths and eerie silence. The shrine was a relic of forgotten worship, its walls adorned with faded murals depicting the tragic history of the Cao and Lanh families intertwined with celestial forces. Among the rubble, they discovered an ancient tome, its pages fragile but alive with arcane energy. As they deciphered the text, a sudden tremor shook the earth. Outside, dark clouds gathered, blotting out the stars. A spectral figure appeared, a guardian spirit bound to the shrine, its voice echoing with warning and hope. The curse feeds on division. To break it, hearts must unite, and truth must be embraced, no matter how painful. Returning to the village, Tuan and his companions shared their discovery. The ritual required a symbolic union. Representatives from both families would need to perform a ceremony that healed old wounds and renewed their bonds. As the day of the ritual approached, the village was alive with anticipation and fear. The air crackled with unseen energy, and even the winds seemed to hold their breath. But Huang was not idle. In a desperate gambit, he unleashed a shadow beast, an entity born from the darkest corners of the curse upon the village, seeking to disrupt the ceremony and sow chaos. The villagers rallied, standing together against the nightmare unleashed upon them. Steel and spirit clashed in the moonlit streets as Tuan, Mai, and Hai led the defense. In the heart of the battle, the ritual commenced. Flames danced around the sacred circle, chants rose in a harmonious crescendo, and a brilliant light enveloped the village. The shadow beast shrieked, dissolving into mist as the bonds of the curse began to unravel. As dawn broke, Thuy stood battered but united. The Chungtang curse, though weakened, had not vanished entirely. It was a wound healing slowly, a story still unfolding. Tuan looked to the horizon, knowing the path ahead was long, but for the first time, filled with hope. The village of Thuy stirred beneath a sky streaked with bruised purples and fiery oranges, signaling the close of another turbulent day. Though the curse's grip had begun to loosen after the ritual, the shadows of the past remained thick-threaded through whispers, unspoken fears, and the fragile hearts of its people. Tuan awoke to a soft knock on his door. It was Mai, her eyes reflecting the urgency that had become all too familiar. "There's something you need to see," she whispered, pulling him outside. They walked silently through the awakening village, past homes heavy with mourning and hope, until they reached the old temple archives. Inside, Mai produced an ancient scroll uncovered by Lanh, the mysterious guardian they had met months before. "This," she said, unfolding the parchment, "contains the final truth about the Chungtang curse, one that even the elders do not know." The scroll revealed that the curse was born not only from the ancient blood pact but also from a hidden betrayal, a betrayal so deep it threatened to unravel the very fabric of the village's unity. A secret child, born of both Cao and Lang blood but hidden away, was said to hold the key to breaking or perpetuating the curse. Tuan's mind raced. Who was this child? Could it be someone they already knew? Or was it a ghost of the past yet to reveal itself? Before they could ponder further, the temple doors creaked open, and Lanh entered, her face grave. "The curse is awakening anew," she said. "Dark forces seek to claim what remains. Huang grows desperate, and his cult's influence spreads beyond our borders." Meanwhile, Lang Du faced his own demons. The loss of his son, the unrest in the village, and the shadow of the curse weighed heavily on his soul. Yet, a flicker of hope kindled when Mai approached him with a proposal, a chance to unite fully against their common enemy. As days passed, Tuan, Mai, and their allies uncovered more pieces of the puzzle: secret meetings between Huang and outsiders, forbidden rituals in the dead of night, and coded messages hinting at a coming catastrophe. Amidst this turmoil, Tuan began to sense a strange connection growing between him and Mai, a bond forged in shared trials and deepened by whispered secrets. One moonless night, while poring over the scrolls, Tuan discovered a faded symbol, a mark matching a birthmark he had borne since childhood, concealed beneath his sleeve. Could he be the secret child foretold? The revelation shook him to his core. If true, his destiny was entwined with the fate of the village and the curse in ways he had never imagined. But before he could confront this truth, a chilling scream shattered the silence. Racing outside, they found one of the village elders, clutching his chest, eyes wide with terror. "They've come," he gasped. "The cult. They seek to finish what they started." The final battle loomed near, a confrontation not just of steel and sorcery, but of truths long buried and bonds tested beyond breaking. The village of Thuy stood at the edge of darkness and dawn. The ancient curse, the Jungtang, had cast its shadow for centuries, binding families, fueling hatred, and poisoning generations. But as the first light of a new day broke, the villagers gathered with heavy hearts and flickering hope for what was to come. Tuan stood at the center of the gathering, his figure tall and resolute, the weight of his discoveries resting heavily on his shoulders. The truth had been revealed. He was the secret child, the living bridge between the Cao and Lanh bloodlines. His very existence was the key to breaking the curse once and for all. Mai stood beside him, her hand gently resting on his arm, a symbol of unity and shared fate. The elders of both families, once bitter rivals, now stood united, their faces etched with years of pain but softened by the possibility of peace. Before the crowd, Tuan began to speak, his voice carrying the gravity of his journey. "Generations of hatred have chained us to this curse. But it is not the blood that condemns us, it is the choices we make. Today, we cast off the bonds of the past, embrace our shared humanity, and forge a new path together." A sacred ritual was prepared, combining the ancient rites rediscovered in the scrolls with a heartfelt ceremony of forgiveness and renewal. The village square was adorned with flowers and symbols of both families woven together as one. As the ritual commenced, a calm settled over the land. The winds whispered prayers, and the sky seemed to hold its breath. Spirits of ancestors long past appeared briefly as shimmering lights, witnessing the moment their feud was finally laid to rest. But peace demanded sacrifice. Tuan stepped forward, willing to offer himself not as a martyr, but as a symbol of hope, bridging the past and future. With Mai's voice joining his in a prayer of unity, the ritual reached its crescendo. A brilliant light enveloped the village, cleansing the shadows and healing the wounds etched deep into the soil and souls of Thuy. From the ashes of the curse rose a new dawn. Yet, the story was not without loss. Huang and his cultists, consumed by their thirst for power, met their fate in the fiery aftermath of the ritual, banished or broken by the forces they sought to command. Lang Duke, once hardened by grief and fear, found solace in reconciliation. His eyes met Elder Min's with a newfound respect, and they clasped hands, a gesture that spoke louder than words. As the sun rose higher, laughter and song slowly returned to the village. Fields once barren flourished anew, children played where shadows had once lurked, and the bonds of family and friendship were reforged in light. Tuan looked to the horizon, feeling the weight lift from his heart. The curse had been broken not by magic alone, but by courage, truth, and the strength to forgive. Thuy was no longer a village divided by blood and bitterness, but a community reborn, ready to write its own legacy, free from the chains of the past. And as the wind carried the scent of blooming flowers, Tuan and Mai knew their journey was just beginning, not as victims of a curse, but as guardians of a hard-won peace. There you have it, an epic, hopeful conclusion to our story, rich with emotion, resolution, and new beginnings. Title: The Curse of Lanh Thuy, Bloodlines Bound and Broken. Description: In the secluded village of Lanh Thuy, two ancient families, the Cao and the Lanh, have been locked in a bitter feud for centuries, haunted by a deadly curse known as the Jumtang. When elder Cao men seeks peace, a fragile truce forms, only to be shattered by mysterious deaths and dark forces that lurk in the shadows. Young Tuan, revealed to be the secret heir bridging both bloodlines, embarks on a perilous journey to uncover buried truths, confront sinister cults, and break the curse that threatens to consume his village. Blending ancient rituals, supernatural mysteries, and the timeless struggle between hatred and forgiveness, The Curse of Lanh Thuy is a gripping tale of legacy, sacrifice, and the power of unity. Will Tuan's courage be enough to heal generations of wounds and bring light to a land shrouded in darkness?